Welcome to the Real Estate Syndication Show. Whether you are a seasoned investor or building a new real estate business, this is the show for you. Whitney Sewell talks to top experts in the business. Our goal is to help you master real estate syndication. And now your host, Whitney Sewell.
This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. Today, our guest is Jeff Wickersham. If you have been listening to this show for very long at all, you have heard me talk about the importance of my morning routine or being up early and some specific things I believe has helped me to grow a business and move fast as an entrepreneur. Jeff is going to help us today to think in detail about our morning routine and some specific habits that you should consider, even ways to make it difficult to do some bad habits. So Jeff is a sought after morning routine guide whose mantra is rise, fight, love, repeat, which also is a title of his #1 best-selling book, Rise, Fight, Love, Repeat, Ignite Your Morning Fire. He's the founder of the Morning Fire Coaching, which specializes in guiding clients to implement game-changing habits for more energy, focus, abundance, and time in their lives through the power of the Morning Fire methodology. I encourage you, as you listen to the show, think about some things Jeff and I talk about, some things that has changed our business personally, but just some examples that he gives you from ways to get out of the bed on time to just having more energy throughout the day, and some things he does specifically in his morning routine that may help you as well. Jeff, welcome to the show. You have some skills that I feel are very important to any entrepreneur. When I started doing some of these things, that's when my business really changed, and ultimately our life, and I mean, in many, many ways. And so looking forward to getting into your skill sets. But before we do, give us a little bit about your background and how this kind of came about.
Yeah, and Whitney, thanks for having me. So grateful to be on the podcast. So I spent about 20 years in corporate America, and then about 6.5 years ago, I had that life event that kind of changed everything. Unfortunately, I lost my mom to breast cancer. So it was that punch in the gut, cut at the knees, transformational moment where I questioned everything, right? In the days, weeks, months ahead, and I really went deep and asked myself, was corporate America having me bound out of bed on fire? And after soul searching, the answer was resoundingly no. So I knew I needed to make a switch. I knew life was short, right? We get one opportunity, one go round. So what was I passionate in? And I soon realized that really it was fitness. And I opened up a local gym. I was always into fitness. My late mother was always into fitness. And then what organically grew out of that was high performance coaching, right? 100 people would put in an application on Facebook to come see me. Only 15 to 20 would actually pick up the phone, answer a text message, answer an email. And it was a pain point, right? Why is that? Why are people stopping? And it's all what's in between our ears, right? Our mindset, our beliefs, our habits that we have. So I dove deep personally. I went down that deep personal development rabbit hole, coaches, courses, podcasts, books, mentors, you name it. And that's where I came up with my 4-step morning fire methodology, the rise, fight, love, repeat, where you're rising like a phoenix, reborn each day, new opportunities, new possibilities. Obviously, I know that with the passing of my mother each day I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to have this conversation with you, right? The fight portion, that dog that we need to have. And I feel like so many times now there's a world full of walking zombies that are fine with mediocre, good, and average, and you only get one opportunity. So developing that fight mentality, that dog mentality, loving yourself, most importantly, right? We're the only species that beats ourselves up for things we didn't do yesterday, 3 weeks ago, 3 years ago. So love yourself, then you can love all those around you. And then the secret piece is that repetition, repeating it over and over again. So it becomes automatic. It's in our subconscious mind. And that's what I eat, sleep, and breathe on a daily basis now.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you sharing some of that. And like I said, you're helping many people with, I think, some of the most important foundational things that we need as entrepreneurs. I just spoke at a conference this past weekend on some of these things, and that's why I think it's going to be interesting because I've seen it in my own life as well. I know the listeners have heard me talk about it, and you're an expert. And so I just let's talk about some of the habits that are most important and some of the morning routines that you suggest people have or things they do. Let's just jump in. Either one of those things that you feel is best. Just start us off and let's jump in.
Yeah, and let's start first with habits, right? Because having an awareness of the science's habits is so critical to being successful. And so many people aren't successful, right? You think about New Year's resolutions, 80% of people fail within 3 weeks related to those New Year's resolutions. So part of it is we don't really understand the science and the power of the science behind it. So the first point is so much of what we do is driven through our habits and rituals, right? It can be up to 95% on a daily basis. And by habits or rituals, I mean things that you don't have to consciously think about. Right. I always relate it to a computer program. You booted up your laptop this morning. I did the same. You press the power button. There are so many things that go on behind the scenes that you're not aware of. And the same thing happens in our lives. It's why so many people stay stuck. They're in the same spot they were 3 years ago, and they don't know how to break through. They feel like they're on this never-ending treadmill of life. Every day is Groundhog Day. And it's because so much of what we do on a daily basis is our habits and rituals. So that's the first piece to be aware of, right? How much is driven through your habits and rituals. The second piece is we've all heard 21 days to create a habit. That's the bare minimum, right? And neuroscience has proven out that it can be anywhere from 21 to 67 days. So if we all think we're going to take 21 days to build this habit, but it could take 3 times as long, it's no wonder why 80% of people fail on their New Year's resolutions and why it's so difficult to build those habits, because we've been almost lied to a little bit, where 21 was a bare minimum. We all stuck with that. We all went the easy route, but it could be up to 67 days. So that's a little science.
I would even say too, though, that like 60 days in the grand scheme of things is not very long, right? But it's still so difficult. It's still so difficult to make that change. So anyway, go ahead.
It is. And the other piece is, right, they've done brain scans of the brain, and they see the old habit, right? That old neural network, the new habit, the new neural network. And the thing is, if you fall back to that old habit, it can click in just like that, and it fires. It just goes kind of dormant, and you can get back into those bad habits so quickly. So, it takes discipline. It takes consistent effort, right? And I always relate discipline to freedom. If you're disciplined, that is the foundation for having freedom in every area of your life. Consistency is so much more important than intensity. And Simon Sinek in his book, The Infinite Game, says the same thing. He says, we go so intense, so quick. We want those 6-pack abs in 6 minutes. We want to hit the grand slam home run. But you just need to be consistent over time. And if you are consistent, you will eventually get there. The issue is we don't know when we'll get there, right? So those are just a couple of foundational pieces to building habits and really creating that foundation for success.
No, I love how you link discipline to freedom. It's so true. So true. So having self-discipline. So you mentioned earlier too, like breaking through some of that, right? Or, the old habits. And how do they do that? How do people break the old habits? And maybe we're going to get into that, but any tips?
Yeah. So from breaking bad habits perspective, putting resistance into the equation, right? How can you put it can be 10, 20 seconds of resistance in the equation, and it can be a little bit longer, where you've got to think about it and requires more effort. Then you're going to be set up to break those habits. So for example, if you come home and you flop on the couch and the first thing you do is turn on the TV, and next thing you know, you're Netflixing for 5-6 hours, and you want to be more productive, read a book or spend time with your family. A way to put resistance into that is take the batteries out of the remote control and hide them upstairs somewhere, where you have to actually physically remember where they're at and have to walk up the steps, right, to find them. There's 10 to 20, maybe 30 seconds of resistance. Many times you will say, you know what, I'm just going to read a book, or I'm going to spend time with the family. So if you can put resistance into the equation, that's a very powerful tool to break those bad habits for sure.
It's like, how bad do you want it? Right.
Correct.
How bad do you want it? I love that. Put some resistance in there so you at least have to think about it, right? It kind of breaks that habit a little bit, delays it anyway. So you have time to think about what you're doing. I like that a lot. Well, all right. Anything else about habits that you want to share?
Yeah. So related to building good habits, there's a couple of strategies that I absolutely 100% agree with, endorse, coach my clients on. Is one is you want to be able to make what you're going to do public. So social media is a great thing for posting pictures, doing different things. Put it out there that you're going to do something for a certain number of days. I remember it was last May where I said, all right, I'm going to go Facebook Live every single day at 12:30. Now, 99.9% of people in my networks could care less if I went live on Facebook, but we have a little switch in our subconscious mind that we inherently don't want to look like a liar. So you follow through because you put it out into the public because you don't want to look like a liar. So there I was at the Jersey Shore on a May Friday at 12:30, coming off the beach, hot spotting with my laptop, going live on Facebook to follow through on what I did. So that's one strategy to definitely make building a good habit much more easy and set you up for success, is make it public. Two would be to pair it with something you already do, right? So you have something you already enjoy, pair that habit with something you already enjoy. And one of my friends, his wife was pregnant with their second child. And he said, meditation would be great for her. She feels a little anxious with the second baby coming. And I said, well, does she like to drink coffee in the morning, decaffeinated coffee, obviously? But he said, yes. I said, well, why doesn't she brew the coffee, go meditate, and then her reward is the coffee afterwards? And when you do that, you're set up for success as well, because you already enjoy doing something, and now you're just pairing it with something you want to build and add. So those are a couple strategies to build good habits.
Nice. I just think too, it even goes back. I appreciate you bringing up from the beginning too, just the awareness of the science of habits. Some of that that's helpful when thinking about putting in that resistance or even reward, right? Helping yourself to break through, because it's so difficult, but it's so important. It's so important. Those consistent things you do every day, good or bad, right? It is determined so much about who you are a year from now and 20 years from now, for sure. So, all right. Anything else on habits though, before we jump into maybe some morning routine or, those habits that we should have then?
They're just, habits are the foundation of what we do, right? So much of what we do is driven. And to your point, Whitney, the consistency is so important. And I have a mantra that I coach clients with, and it's never miss twice, right? Because we continue to beat ourselves up many times for what we didn't do. And listen, life's going to happen, but if you never miss twice, that means you're going to hop right back on the train that's rolling down the train tracks, and you're going to continue the progress. And so many times people, when they stop, maybe they miss a day, if they're seeing how many consecutive days they can meditate. I'm almost up to 1,300 straight days of meditation. If you can never miss twice, just jump back on. You're going to be that much more consistent, and you're going to stay for the long term. So that's just another thing that people can hang on to.
Nice. Well, let's jump into the morning routine and maybe why that's important. Some tips you have around creating that morning routine, why it's important.
Yeah. So again, to the point of having an awareness, the habit side and the morning routine side, we're not really taught in school, right? I don't know about you, but I wasn't taught how to wake up properly in elementary, college, any level of education. It's not talked about really in family circles. Hey, what do you do to wake up and have all this energy and have this focus? But it truly is the foundation. And I like to call it the bookend of your days, right? What's that last 30 minutes of your day look like? How do you prepare for success? And that's even missed by so many different people, where sleep is such an important part of our lives, because we recover mentally, we recharge physically, our bodies and minds repair. So how are you setting yourself up for a good night's sleep? Are you throwing some blue light blockers on so you're not getting the blue light in and stops the melatonin production at night? Are you reading a book? Are you winding down? Are you preparing yourself for a good night's sleep? So that's a very important piece to the puzzle. And then how do you wake up? I always relating waking up, you have a choice, right? To play defense or offense the moment the alarm clock goes off. And so many people play defense. And I have two sons, they're 12 and 11. I coach them in basketball. I'm a huge basketball fan. When you're in that defensive stance for basketball, your knees are bent, your hips are bent, your quads are burning. It's exhausting. And so many people play defense the moment the alarm clock goes off by checking their phone, checking email, diving into the news, diving into those negative things that can pull you down that path that you don't want to go. That's why they end up exhausted, stressed, and have nothing left at the end of the day. So it's your choice right when you wake up to take control of your day, either be on the offense or the defense. And it's so vital to success.
So you talked about sleep being so important, and my wife and I, over the last couple of years, have put so much more thought into that right there. Exactly. I've been somebody who's like, no, I can make it on 4 hours of sleep, for so many years. And then finally it's like, you know what, there's something to this sleep thing. And so help us to think through that a little more. You mentioned a few things there. Anything else about sleep and how we can sleep better, helping us prepare? You mentioned about the phone, blue light blockers, like what is that? And then obviously I'd love to hear more about how do you get up in the morning and feel focused and energized and some of those things? I do feel like that is so important because that's how you start your day, right?
It is. So at night, I love to think about what am I going to prepare for the next day? Clothes are out, right? My glass of water is ready for me right when I wake up. Anything that you can finish at the end of the day and prepare for the morning is just essential to your success. And there are strategies, right? Blue light blocker, you mentioned, right? The phones, the electronics we get, that stops your natural production of melatonin. Melatonin is a sleep aid that helps your quality of sleep. So 7 o'clock, I'm throwing all my glasses and I'm making sure that I am going to get a quality night's sleep. And so many times we aren't intentional about, hey, I am going to get a good night's sleep. And that's another piece to the puzzle, right? Telling yourself, I am going to get a good night's sleep. What we say, our words are so powerful that you say that before you go to sleep, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a good night's sleep because you are telling the mind how to act, not the other way around. So whatever you can do at night to prepare is so vital to success. And I mentioned the glass of water. That's the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning. I have a full glass of water. We are made so much of water that the longest stretch we go without it is when we sleep. So you're dehydrated a little bit. So that rehydration process is so vital to waking up. And I put my glass of water with some sea salt in a cabinet, and people are like, that's ridiculous. Why do you have that prepared? Well, think about this for a second. Imagine you come down the stairs and you're going to go to the cabinet and get your favorite glass. You open up the cabinet, there's no clean glasses in there. You go to the dishwasher, somebody didn't close the dishwasher, right? The tab's in there, but they didn't shut it completely. So now you have no clean glasses of water.
And you're frustrated.
You're starting frustrated, and that's the mind's first opportunity to say, you know what, Whitney, this is too hard. Just go back to bed. Do what you're used to. So that's, again, preparing for success the night before. So you have that out, full glass of water. I love some affirmations. I love working out for about 10 minutes, right? Some push-ups, air squats, sit-ups, maybe some burpees, because we rely on caffeine a lot to get started. Our bodies are meant to move. You do 10 minutes of exercise just when you wake up after a glass of water, you're going to feel this rush of energy. You're going to feel the blood just moving through your system. And it's a tremendously powerful way to start your day. And then I move into meditation, because not only is it so important to wake up physically, but to calm your mind and meditate, breathe, focus on your breathing is just another powerful piece to the equation. And you might notice in that scenario that I just took you through, there's nothing related to checking my phone, right? This time when you wake up is your time and your time only. Avoid distractions at all costs. And that's probably the hardest thing that clients that I work with when they first implement the morning fire routine is that tractor beam that is the phone, right? When they wake up, they might see 6 notifications on a text message and they want to check who it is. I'm like, you cannot do that until you're done. Give yourself this time, and it will create so much forward momentum that you'll be able to really just do amazing things in your life.
No, that's such great advice. No doubt about it. What about the amount of sleep that we should get?
So it really depends on the person, right? I typically get 6 hours of sleep, and I always like to break it down into sleep cycles. Every sleep cycle is 90 minutes in length. So 6 hours, 7.5 hours, those are typically the 2 sleep cycles that I love to get. But I'm typically getting 6 hours, and then I'm up ready to go. Now I'm preparing for a good night's sleep. And my wife always jokes that she can be mid-conversation. My head hits the pillow in 5 seconds, I'm out, but I get up quite early and I'm preparing for sleep. So I'm ready to sleep. So that's why 6 hours and 6 hours of quality sleep is enough for me. But I always tell people to put on their white lab coat and become the scientist, right? And experiment. And so many times, whether it's what we put in our bodies from a food perspective, how much we sleep, we don't correlate, oh, I feel fantastic today. Wait, how many hours of sleep did I get? Maybe I should do that again tonight.
Often I hear, Jeff, people say, because I'll talk about my morning routine and when I started focusing more on my morning routine, and I need to personally work on some of these things you've mentioned myself, but still, even just getting up earlier and having some structured time in the morning just started to change things for me personally. And it wasn't until then that I just started noticing, hey, I've read more books over the last, few months. I've just educated myself more. I feel better throughout the day, all these things. But often I hear people say, well, I'm just not a morning person. I just, that's just not the way that I work. Yeah, that's what I hear. What do you say to that?
And I hear that too, Whitney, and I love it. And that's why I was smiling kind of ear to ear, because I always like to say, okay, I can completely understand that. But do you think when you were born, whoever in the hospital rubber stamped you, not a morning person? Absolutely not. It was from your environment. It's from how you were brought up with your parents. More than likely, your parents said they weren't morning people, right? And you adopted that belief. And it's just a belief that you have. Now, are some people wired to be a little bit more of a night owl and like to stay up later? Yes, but you can absolutely change your habits and rituals. It's going to take time. And I usually, if somebody's going to bed at 1 a.m., I don't say, hey, start going to bed at 10 p.m. I say back off for a week, 15 minutes, go to bed at 12:45, next week, 12:30, and gradually do it, right? And then just be consistent over time. So you typically not a morning person is how you were raised and what you heard growing up.
Yeah, I say, well, yeah, I used to say that as well. But so many people that I talk to always ask, about some daily habits they're disciplined about that have helped them achieve success. And so often it's, man, I'm up early doing these 3 things or whatever, they're not always the same things, but they're up early with a structured day, right? Structured morning. I love that. But what about you? Any daily habits for you, Jeff? I mean, that you are disciplined about? I know you mentioned some, but which one or two would you say have helped you achieve the most success?
Yeah. So 3 that I love, and then 1 I'm going to add at the end. 3 that I always do and can go with you when you're on vacation, traveling, wherever, is drinking a full glass of water, exercising a bit, and meditating. Those 3 components, you can do those regardless of where you're at, right? So those are must-haves on a daily basis. And meditation, almost 1,300 straight days is just a daily practice that has completely transformed my mental state, my ability to deal with stress, my ability to, be calm when I'm driving, where, used to, if somebody cut you off, you get really ticked off about it. No, you breathe and you kind of breathe through it. So meditation is a key piece. The other one I love is cold showers or ice baths. So I'm a huge cold shower, ice bath guy, almost to 900 straight days of that. And that mental and physical test is another key component that I do day in and day out. And especially when it's cold in the wintertime and your mind's telling you, why are you getting in this cold shower? To be able to shut off that noise. And again, very similar to what I talked about when you wake up in the morning, right? To control what you're going to do with the mind, to be able to shut off the mind and say, I'm stepping into this ice cold shower anyway. It just gives you tremendous mental strength, mental toughness to be able to get through anything. So it's definitely a key piece of what I do on a daily basis.
That's interesting. So I've heard different people over the last few years talk about this cold shower. There's been times in my life, when I was in Iraq, different places, and I was so thankful to have a shower. It was extremely cold, but I was still so thankful to have it. Right. But I just almost can't pull myself now to just do that on purpose. That's interesting though. So is it more just like mental accomplishment, you think, of, hey, I can do this? I mean, type of thing?
There's mental and physical benefits, right? Physical benefits: improve circulation, boosts your immunity, right? Activates brown fat in the body, which burns some more calories. Those pieces are great. Helps your skin. But the mental test is where I love it, right? And to your point, getting that courage to step in there. And I go full out cold. So in January, when our hot water heater was going, my sons and wife said, "Hey, the hot water heater's going." And I said, "I'm not aware of it because I get cold showers." So I said, "I'm fine." But that mental test, once you get out, you feel this momentum, you feel this burst of energy, you feel this sense of accomplishment. And that's so incredibly powerful. It's basically the same thing I was talking about, those things I do in the morning. You get these quick wins, you feel this momentum, and then it's jet fuel in your veins. And so many people don't realize the power that can give you when you do those things. First, when you wake up, imagine the momentum you're going to carry throughout your day. You're going to be more energized. You're going to have laser focused. It's so counterintuitive, but I tell people, you give yourself 30 minutes in the morning, you're going to have more time throughout your day. And there's like, how is that? Well, you've got more energy, you get things done quicker, you're more focused, you have this different mindset. So it's incredibly powerful. So yeah, I love the mental stress and the mental challenge that a cold shower or an ice bath can definitely put in front of you.
I meant to ask you also, when we were talking about just getting up in the morning, you don't have your phone, you don't want to see your phone right away. What do you use for an alarm?
So I do use my phone for an alarm, but I put it away from my bed. So if you are a snooze button hitter, here are 2 tricks. 1, put it away from your bed. So you physically have to get out of bed and walk over. Once the cold air hits you, once a little bit of movement, you're going to be less likely to hit that snooze button, as well as you can eliminate the snooze button. If you have an iPhone, just go to the alarm, go into settings, and you can toggle down and remove the snooze button. And I always wondered why that was, right? The snooze button's so big, the stop button's so small, they're almost setting you up for failure, right? To hit that snooze button. You can eliminate it from the screen and you have one option. And I love to make it so simple, so straightforward. Your one option is stop and you're getting up.
It's putting that resistance in there again, right? Don't make it easy for yourself to fail.
Correct. So you would have to reset the alarm, just get up, right? So those pieces are any way you can be a scientist, can figure out strategies, tricks to make it either hard to do what you want to stop or easy to do what you want to build will create that success.
Nice. No, I also set the phone across the room, so I have to get out of the bed. It does. Like you said, it's that move. I could hit the snooze button. I don't know if there's a way for me to turn it off on mine, but maybe there is. I need to look at that. But either way, just having to get out of bed. If I don't get out of bed, my wife will kick me out of bed because the alarm's going off, right? So
there you go.
No, that's great advice, Jeff. What's the number one thing that's contributed to your success?
It's that morning routine, right? It's that foundation. And I spent years not with it. Had habits and rituals that didn't set me up for success. But once I figured out how incredibly powerful it is and how much momentum and energy and focus it gives you, it's been the absolute game changer.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, even for myself, it's been that it's those small, consistent things, right? Over a long period of time that, man, it just compounds in a big way. Most make an excuse, say, oh, those little things don't matter. But man, you give it some time, you never go back. Right. How do you like to give back?
I love to interact with people, right? I love to have sessions, give energy and give excitement, enthusiasm, because nothing great in life can be done without that. So I love to, coach kids, right? And youth sports. That's one area that I've been doing for about 20 years. And then I love to give back. So any of your listeners, if they wanted a complimentary 30-minute session with me, they can go out to my website, themorningfire.com, grab a session. And I'd love to speak to you how I could help support you, guide you in any way to build those habits that you want to build or break the habits that you want to break.
Nice. Jeff, I could not or just thank you enough to being on the show, and just this topic I'm pretty passionate about and have just seen it change my life, and grateful for you just sharing some important habits and the importance of the morning routine. And so you would tell the listeners how they can get in touch with you and learn more about you.
Absolutely. So they can, I mentioned they can go out to www.themorningfire.com. I've got my podcast out there. I've got other links. And if they want to grab a complimentary session, they can. They can go out. I have a published book out on Amazon, Rise, Fight, Love, Repeat, Ignite Your Morning Fire. If they want to get that either in ebook or paperback format, they can. And then I'm out on all the socials, Instagram, Jeff_Wickersham, out on LinkedIn, out on Facebook. So if they want to find me there, they can as well.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Syndication Show, brought to you by LifeBridge Capital. LifeBridge Capital works with investors nationwide to invest in real estate, while also donating 50% of its profits to assist parents who are committing to adoption. LifeBridge Capital, making a difference, one investor and one child at a time. Connect online at www.lifebridgecapital.com for free material and videos to further your success.